Hello students, and welcome to week 3. Well, I can't believe we're already halfway through the semester. And my expectation is now that you get a little deeper understanding of business. Last week you got introduced to entrepreneurs, the impact they have on the business development. You also became aware of the importance of small business on the economy. Obviously they are a great contributor to our overall economy actually. So this week we begin with chapter 3, getting introduced to different forms of business and why you would select one over another. If you're starting a new business, you may want to decide, which legal form of ownership, works best for you under circumstances. Do you want to own the business yourself? You want to operate it with a partner? Do you want to completely own it yourself, or do you want to just share ownership? Do you want to have a partner, or maybe even organized into a corporation? So these are just a few of the questions in the book. They're also listed there that you may want to answer as you begin to think about your business. Dex Books does a great job of discussing the various forms of business along with the pros and cons of each. Are you familiar with this advertisement? This is my main man, Tom. It says a smiling Brian Scudamore, gesturing behind one of his junk removal guys. And in the ad it says, and my other main man is Tom. So anyway, this is a company called 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and I think a lot of you have probably seen the ad on TV. It runs quite frequently, as a matter of fact. And the reason why I bring up this company is because when Brian first started up the company, he was a sole proprietorship, and then at some point in time during the business, when the business was growing, he felt that maybe it was good to have a partner, or get kind of lonely there, and he thought maybe having some other points of view in the business. So he got a friend together with a friend who made an investment, and they became partners. But as the business continued on, later on, and the company was growing, he realized that having a partner just slowed things down for him. So Scudamore in 1993 bought out his partner. And as the business achieved growth, today now it's a corporation, very thriving business. If you ever want to look up into, Google Scudamore, Brian Scudamore, and he's got a couple of other businesses he's got working right now. So anyway, a corporation has several advantages over a proprietorship, as an example here. Important advantages: limited liability the owners have. It's actually the corporation, not the individual, and taxation, things like that. Investments, not being able to lose anything more than what you're putting into the business, things like that are benefits that folks would want to achieve, and therefore form a corporation. Next we get into, this is in the textbook of course, we get into mergers and acquisitions. And so there are many good reasons why companies merge or why companies buy other companies. And the terms merger and acquisition are two different things. An acquisition is a purchase of one company by another, and sometimes in this case they'll put the companies together, and they may buy it for different reasons. Maybe having some sort of a technology or things like that, or just being able to buy up for market share. They just want to take somebody out of the marketplace, so they buy up this company and they roll it into their own company. A lot of times when you're doing the merger, it becomes difficult because you got cultures and things in companies that you have to merge, and you got customers that overlap, and salespeople overlap with other salespeople, and there's a lot of different things that sometimes don't make it work real well. So it could be a little tricky. On the acquisition side, that's a situation where you acquire a company, and usually, and not every time, but a lot of times you keep it as a separate company. In the case of, I'm going to use Berkshire Hathaway, their goal is to buy big businesses, and I think everybody's heard of Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway. And so their goal is to buy big businesses, predominantly with good management. They look for nicely run companies, and their goal is to invest and allow that company to grow. And some of the names that they own today, which you're probably familiar with, is Benjamin Moore Paint, Dairy Queen, See's Candy, is SCE Candy, and Geico, Jordan's Furniture, just to name a few. And they do a really good job of nurturing these companies, and their portfolio today is incredible if you want to take a look at Berkshire Hathaway. And not all the times are these acquisitions and mergers successful. A lot of times they do fail. There's no real trick to anything. It's a matter of working at it and working your best to make sure that, or try to make sure that it all stays together. So this concludes a little bit on Chapter 3. You'll be able to read a few things there and give you examples of mergers and acquisitions. We're going to jump over to Chapter 4 because this is a really important chapter on business ethics and social responsibility. And these two topics are very big with business today. It's the intent, obviously, of every company to operate ethically. There have been a number of scandals over the years, as you've heard about in the past. And let's begin this section by addressing one of the questions of, what can individuals, organizations, and government agencies do to foster an environment of ethically and socially responsible businesses? Well, a lot of things there. Folks in companies, the companies work diligently to publish and develop and publish codes of conduct. And it's up to the individuals within the organization to uphold these codes of conduct. And I've worked for companies that every year you have to go on and read the code of conduct and acknowledge that you actually have read it. It gets cloudy sometimes in terms of what's right and what's wrong. And a lot of times I just say, reach out to companies and say, is this something I should be doing? If you get invited somewhere or somebody wants to give you a gift or things like that, is that ethical? Or just providing information or work with information. I've in this week here online, I've included actually and uploaded a Code of Ethics guide by Hasbro Toys. So if you want to take a look at that, that gives you a good indication of what a code of conduct looks like. And next we get into the social responsibility. And corporate social responsibility promotes a vision of business accountability to a range of stakeholders and people like that. Be good corporate citizens. Environmental issues have been a thing with companies, where pollution has been caused, and there's a number of companies over the years that have been big lawsuits because of that, people dying because of diseases from this contamination. Nevertheless, many companies continue to overlook this kind of a thing, and it's really something that today, especially, more and more companies are spending millions and millions and $100 million. SC Johnson is an example, Starbucks and people like that, where they're very key on looking at ways to be able to, SC Johnson, that's a really good example. If you want to look at SC Johnson, pollution from the plants, from the things that they produce, and what they're doing to curb some of that. And so some of the drivers pushing towards this social responsibility for companies, customers could be willing to pay more for products and services because companies are committed to social responsibility, being good corporate citizens. So, that's one of the things that we see. So in the past, governments have relied on legislation and regulation to deliver social and environmental objectives to the business sector. Shrinking resources have sort of laid low a little bit on that, which is really not a good thing. But today, I think if you see in general, companies are pretty serious about wanting to be good and responsible. And there's a number of different things that you can read about in the book that talk about things with companies. So this pretty much concludes week 3, a couple of chapters that you're looking at. So as we close week 3, we now have a greater understanding of the forms of business ownership, the importance of being ethical and socially responsible, and the reason why companies merge and acquire one another. So again, this week, please take time to read chapters 3 and 4, post to the weekly discussion forums, complete your online assignment, and post any kind of comments you want to make. You can post a comment about whether you think these video lectures are good. This is just a short synopsis of what you're going to be reading in the chapters, but hopefully this is valuable to you. And again, I always look forward to the feedback. So have a good week, and we'll see you during class this coming week.